Like you and I, a horse's physical condition changes day to day. The horse communicates that condition to you if you understand what he's saying. And you begin to understand with this free online webinar. Once you understand, you're going to win more and even more importantly, lose less. Join the free Racehorse Body Language webinar. Learn handicapping's missing link and win more and lose less. And you get instant access when you go to bodylanguagewebinar.com.
Dan Illman, Matt Burney, your race number 7 at Saratoga on Friday is the $200,000 Seeking the Ante Stakes for 2-year-old fillies. A race you can play with your very own DRF Bets account. Sign up, get 10 times the bonus. DRF.com/bet is where you need to go. Bet 20, get 200. Here are the field of 2-year-old New York bred fillies getting set to go 6.5 furlongs in the Seeking the Ante Stakes. Matt, the morning line favorites the number 4, Collegeville Girl, who got the 73 best last buyer speed figure in her debut on July the 25th, and she was hustled out of the gate that day. She worked hard and she kept right on going over a next out winner. It was a solid performance. She's going to get tested here.
She's going to get tested, but I think that, to be fair, everyone's going to get a little bit of class test in here, facing legitimate winners really for the first time, most of them. And the fact that this filly was able to go on and do what she did, that runner-up you made mention, Elegant Zip, she came back and earned a 69, winning her next start. I think Collegeville Girl, she makes a lot of sense. She fits in here, low-profile barn for the most part up in Saratoga, but really, again, I think it boils down to also, where do you think this pace situation is going to go? Do you think that she's going to be sent out of there again like she was, and how much heat is she going to take? Or are they going to try to teach her a little bit of something in the spot?
Oh, I think they're going to send her in here. That most recent workout out of the gate, 4 furlongs, 47 and change bullet at Parks, makes me think that they're on ascend. We know that Kendrick Carmouche is very, very aggressive. If she can put away the number 1 Party Like Grandma in the early stages. Now, Party Like Grandma was 1-2 for her debut against only 3 other horses at Finger Lakes, but she won like a good thing, and the Fig came back solid, and this has been a good move for Jeremiah Engelhardt over the past 2 years. 2-year-old last out maiden winners making their second start in dirt sprints, 3 for 8, a 332 ROI. Andre Worry comes down from Finger Lakes to ride Party Like Grandma, who has to be sent from the rail.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would imagine, I shouldn't even say this. I'm curious to know if Jeremiah is pleased or displeased with being down on the rail, because that's where she broke from the debut. But here against better horses, I think your hand is forced. I think you have to send. To me, this is always the kind of horse that's the toughest to gauge, because visually checked all the boxes, got all the figs, but may not have beaten thoroughbreds, for all I know. The runner-up came back and in her next start earned a 17 buyer. So I don't know. She didn't beat anything very clearly, but at the end of the day, it's hard to argue with the figs, and it's something else to keep in mind. The 68 buyer that she earned, it's definitely competitive, no question. 104 raw time form US rating. That's far and away the fastest in here. So that's one of those things that you got to kind of make a decision. Are you closer to the buyer, or do you believe closer to the buyer, or do you believe closer to that time form number? Because if you do, she might be a bit of a standout.
Fast pace might really help the 7. She's Trouble, a horse that didn't break well in her first 2 starts, got away much better in her most recent effort at Saratoga over a sealed, sloppy track, ended up in a great spot on the turn, inhaled the leaders, and then went off to win by 5 lengths. Now, maybe she wasn't beating the strongest fields in the world, but I like that she has 2 6-furlong races leading up to this 6.5 furlong test. I think she's got the bottom to stretch out. It's a nice outside post position, and we know she can stalk and pounce.
Well, and really, that's kind of the other key for most of these girls. This distance at 6.5, how many of them are actually going to want to go this far? You know that's not likely a problem with the way that She's Trouble finished in that most recent start, but she's another one that you need to make kind of a call. Her 2 most recent starts, I think 2 of her better starts of her 3 lifetime, both came on sloppy sealed racing surfaces. Can she reproduce those efforts, most notably the most recent one on a fast main track?
Let's put up the time form US pace projector for this race. We talked about Collegeville Girl. We talked about Party Like Grandma. They're expected to be contesting the pace. We've got a maiden sitting in 3rd on the pace projector. That's the 8, Harley Q. Going out for Uriah St. Louis from the first crop of Mucho Macho Man. Caught a muddy track in her career debut, also caught a runaway winner. Now, the horses that finished behind Harley Q have not exactly distinguished themselves in subsequent outings.
And that's really the concern. Again, not only are you dealing with a maiden taking on winners, but you're dealing with a horse that's coming out of a race that thus far has not produced anything. So you've got to factor that in as far as price is concerned. You look at the pedigree, though, you would imagine at face value the distance isn't going to be an issue for her, whereas maybe some of these other girls are going to come up wanting for that final half furlong.
Party Like Grandma, a Finger Lakes maiden winner with a 68 buyer. Awesome Debate, the number 5, a Finger Lakes maiden winner with a 38 Beyer speed figure, doing so on the lead. Something tells me that she may not be as fast as Party Like Grandma or Collegeville Girl in the early portion of this race, but it does say something that a very sharp trainer in Charlie Baker's taken a shot.
This is another one where you need to sort of make a call between the Beyer or the time form rating or any other figure that you end up using in your handicapping. With these two specifically, the Beyer is woefully light. From a time form standpoint, she's right there as far as one of the more logical contenders with a time form US rating of 82 in that career debut. So you got to take that into consideration. If you lean close to the time form number, she's interesting at a big number.
There's a good chance you're going to get a price on the only stakes winner in the bunch, and that's the number 3 Maiden Beauty, who was a debut winner in the $100,000 Lynbrook Stakes over a sloppy track at Belmont. She came from well off the pace to win, and I think she was flattered somewhat when the runner-up came back to finish second with a 68 Beyer in a New York-bred maiden earlier this meet.
Yeah, and the fourth place finisher was the next out winner with a 60 Beyer as well. You know, I thought that was kind of an interesting race, all things considered. I thought it was an educational race for her because it seemed like she was a little bit outpaced going into the far turn, and then she started to pick things up, angled out to the clear, and she finished very, very well. Contessa, right around that time, and even up at Saratoga, he's had some 2-year-olds that have popped early on. I wonder if you're going to get a forward move second off the bench. If you do, I think she's interesting.
Icy Lady finished behind Maiden Beauty in the Lynbrook, but she was also in behind horses most of the way, and talk about a learning experience for her. I think that's what it was. She stalked and pounced to win her debut at Delaware, but so far from 2 starts, the best Beyer only a 40, and I know these 2-year-olds can improve by leaps and bounds overnight, but she's really going to have to improve.
I didn't love her effort in that Lynbrook, and I really didn't like the effort when she broke her maiden 2 starts back. This is just a scenario where I don't think she's good enough.
I think a very dangerous horse in here, and I know you agree, is the 6 Time Warp. This is a $230,000 yearling by Cairo Prince. Take a look at this formulator fact for Kenny McPeak. Over the past 4 years with last out maiden winning 2-year-olds coming back in dirt sprints. I got it. 50% winners, 535 ROI. This horse was no match for Collegeville Girl in the debut, but was just so impressive second time out. And again, I think she can sit off the pace with a good trip.
Agreed. I think the trip is really what you're liking if you like this horse, where she can sit off of the pace setters, come on, make a move. You know that the distance isn't a problem. She won at 7/8 of a mile most recently. The concern, again, and I feel like I just keep saying it about half this field, there's a pretty significant discrepancy between the Beyers and the time form rating. The time form rating, she is too slow right now to be a competitor. From a Beyer standpoint, she's not too far off. If you think she takes a forward move here, first start against winners, then she's interesting. From a time form standpoint, she's going to have to up her game significantly.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Seeking the Ante Stakes. It'll be very interesting to see how this pace dynamic shakes out. Do the 1 and the 4 duel each other into defeat? I hope not. I think Collegeville Girl's a little faster than Party Like Grandma. I think she faced better horses than Party Like Grandma did, and I'm hoping she can last this extra furlong. You like Time Warp. You got the positive formulator fact, the big improvement second time out, and a nice little cut back in distance.
Really, the distance was the thing that kind of got me over the hump with her, because I think this is still such a crucial time. Some of these babies, they don't want to go this far just yet. And pedigree-wise, some of them, who knows if they can actually do it. I know what Time Warp's capable of at the distance anyway. I know that that's not going to be a problem. The question is she fast enough? She should work out a beautiful trip.
Give me numbers.
6174.
I'm going 417 in the $200,000 Seeking the Ante Stakes, race number 7 at the Spa on Friday. Bet it with DRF Bet. Sign up, drf.com/bet, get 10 times the bonus. Bet 20, get 200. Approximate post time for the Seeking the Ante, 4:40 Eastern. Good luck.